My boyfriend is making me feel really bad about myself. I just want to start off with I really don't want to see this as an abusive relationship. And I'm praying I get responses telling me it's not and that this can be saved and maybe it's not that extreme. We've been together for 4 years and he makes me extremely happy. I love him so much. I do not plan on leaving him. I'm just having a really hard time dealing with how he makes me feel sometimes. We never even had any arguments or any problems before this year, but suddenly this year he's been complaining a lot. And I'm starting to feel like I'm never enough for him. He was complaining about me not getting ready and not putting the same effort in my appearance as he does. I know that sounds bad, but I do understand where he is coming from. He would come over and I would definitely shower before, put in an effort into getting ready. However, most of the time I was choosing to wear more comfortable clothes, especially because it was usually after a long day at work and I just prefer to wear comfortable clothes when I'm at home. I didn't realize that this was a problem, but he told me that he wanted to see me more in the clothes that he had bought me, the type of clothes that I would wear going out with my friends. And he brought up how I would put in more effort to my appearance when I'd be going out with friends. This is more so because I just like to put in more effort when I'm going out in general, no matter with who, but I understood where he was coming from. So since we had that conversation, every time he comes over, I go out of my way to not only shower and do the same routine I always would, but I would also do my hair and my makeup. And I would also wear a sexy dress, something that he likes. I feel like this is a reoccurring issue, even though I really am trying my best and putting in so much effort every time he comes over, even when I'm too tired, too. Sometimes I just want him to feel like I'm putting in the same effort that he is. But sometimes he's hurtful about how he feels about my appearance. For example, on my birthday, I wore a party dress that he had bought me, and I felt like a hot party girl for my birthday, as I would want to feel. Mm. We went to the club with all of my friends, and I thought we had a great time. A couple nights later, I noticed he was being very cold with me. I kept him over and over again because I was confused and upset, and I feel like I'm explanation when he's being extremely cold to me, not even looking at me, not even talking to me, and on his phone and the entire time together. He He hated how I acted and thought I was being very obnoxious, and he hated my dress, and he hates my hair. I've bleached and dyed it recently, and he said that looks very fried, and he doesn't like it at all. This hurt my feelings, but I was willing to let it go because he's just talking about one night. What was hard for me to get past this was the reason he was being so cold towards me. I know I was being annoying. I mean, I was drunk and in the club and partying with my friends, and I can't live knowing I was annoying for one night, but I don't understand why that has to make him treat me differently. He told me it made him feel less attracted to me. The past few weeks, I've been sleeping over his house very frequently, and it's honestly been amazing. I thought we were finally moving past this rough patch to our relationship as he was finally treating me kindly again. It felt like I was spending time with my best friend again. We were having sex again, and I felt like we were happy together again. It was very romantic, and it made me think about how I could really see us living together one day on our own. We both live with our families. Last night was the first time he had come over to my house in a few weeks. He was very cold to me. He was on his phone the entire time and would not even talk to me when I tried to have a conversation with him or try to suggest things we do together. It was like these last few weeks we've been spending together didn't even happen, and I was very confused and upset. I keep asking him what's wrong, and he finally tells me that he's annoyed that my room is so messy. My room is always messy. I know it's not okay. I know it's not good. I will say this. My room is messy, not dirty. I have clothes in a big pile in the corner of my room, and I never have time to do my laundry. Again, I know it's not okay, but I feel like it's an important clarification to make. My roommate doesn't have garbage in it other than some half-empty water bottles. Bad, but I feel like this is normal. I don't have food lying around. It's not an unhygienic environment, still a messy and sloppy environment, but I feel like it's a level of messy that is honestly normal. We go back and forth, and he tells me that because of this, he could never see himself living with me because how could I tried to explain to him that I grew up in a very rough and actually unhygienic environment to the point where CPS had to step in a couple of times throughout my childhood, not to make excuses, but just to try and help him understand why it's not an automatic priority to me due to how I was raised, and why cleaning is something I have to force myself to do when I'm basically left with no choice. He berated me for a long time, and after me promising over and over again that I will do my best to clean my entire room by the next time I see him, he finally moves on to another topic that I guess upsets him about me. He tells me that I eat garbage, that all I eat is garbage. He tells me that I'm going to get fat and that I'm never going to live a healthy life. He's referring to how I mostly eat frozen food that I heat up or make in the air fryer. So sometimes it's a TV dinner, but usually it's something like frozen burgers or chicken patties that I make for myself. Fasting. I understand that he hates overprocessed food, but I honestly do not relate to it because I really don't think it's a big deal or even a problem. And I feel like this can be an agree to disagree moment. When I go over his house, he always cooks fresh meals. And when he comes over mine, I offer to order us food because when I offer to make him food, he just complains. But what I'm really lost on is how this issue can be this serious to him. He proceeds to tell me that I could never be a good mother to his kids if I think eating food like that is okay. I even tell him if we want to our future potential children fresh meals, I'm more than happy to do that. That's a long time from now, and I'm more than happy to get more familiar with the skill of cooking and your delicious meals. But one day, one of our kids asked me if they can make an easy mac. I'm going to cut me off, and he goes, I would never, ever let that happen. My kids would never eat that. I really just don't see the big deal in that hypothetical scenario at all. Um, and because I don't get it, he gets angrier. I tell him how hurt I am that he's basically calling me fat, and he says, "Whatever you wanna tell yourself." He then tells me he finds it so hypocritical that I comment on other people's bodies, but can't handle him commenting on mine. And I am lost on my life and everyone I love, I do not body shame at all. I got very upset because this is just a completely made up claim to him, and when I asked him for examples, he's literally naming situations that have never, ever happened. Like, seriously, never. I struggled with an eating disorder at one point, which is why I am actually purposefully extra sensitive on not commenting on people's bodies because of how uncomfortable it makes me to even hear that. I have no idea why he is coming up with stories that have literally never happened, like completely made up from thin air. He claimed I said I was fat phobic and proud. That never, ever came out of my mouth, ever. Why is he making this up? Like, seriously, did he dream it? And when I kept telling him that those things never happened, he just called me a liar. I don't know if he seriously has false memories or something because I am not lying at all. That never happened. He tells me that with my mentality towards cooking and cleaning, I could never, ever be a good wife to him or a good mother to our future children. Mind you, we're both 22, and I wouldn't want to get married for another couple of years. I wouldn't even want to think about planning for children for another 10 years from now. We went in circles, but the conversation left off with me promising to have my room clean by the next time we see each other, and he told me if it's not better, we're done. I told myself I'd do it all tonight, but I just haven't been able to stop thinking about how sad I am about how he's made me feel, and he's just continuing to be mean to me over text. I don't wanna leave him. Um, I still don't know what to do though, and I just want him to apologize and stop being so cruel to me. I just feel so alone and hurt. Story 2, for being bothered after asking husband if he'd eat something for dinner. He agreed to it, and so I purchased everything for it, and now he wants something else and is saying I'm in the wrong. This morning I was placing a grocery order and I thought about buying chicken burgers, but I wasn't sure if he would want them. He was asleep, but momentarily woke up and I asked him if he would eat them. I had to ask several times as he didn't seem to be taking it in, being in a semi-conscious state. When he seemed to be more awake, I asked again and he said yes. I had him repeat what I had said just to make sure he heard me, and he did, again, saying he would eat them. I spent quite a bit buying extra of everything. When I would have been fine had he told me he didn't want them, to get something else or just something for myself. I asked him again later on when he woke up if he would eat them, just to see if he had changed his mind, and he said yes. He continued to say yes up until the very minute we got up. That's when he went to the fridge and said he wanted something else, taking out ingredients for a whole other meal and saying that I could still have the chicken burgers, that he doesn't feel like eating them, or the fries I got to accompany them, and that I always choose what we have, which isn't necessarily true. I run ideas by him, only choosing what we both think sounds good, and sometimes we do eat separate things. But I got upset because I would have rather not spent what I did buying extra. He condemned me for being bothered by this, said that I was overreacting. I'll admit I likely was because I'm upset over other things that have happened lately. That he can choose what he wants to eat. He said that I had asked him after I placed the order, and I said that wasn't true. I can only imagine if this were reversed. He complains often about how much is spent on food, particularly when he's buying it. If I agreed to a meal, he spent the money on it, and then I went off it, I'd imagine he'd react in a similar way. Maybe I am being unreasonable here. He claims I am being abusive. Perhaps he wasn't as awake as I thought he was when he agreed, and it's my fault, but he could have told me sooner that he didn't want them. Story 3, my last days with my abusive ex-husband. This happened at the end of February, beginning of March. Things were already bad. Check my post history. But there was one day I was already set to move out at the beginning of March, and things were bad between us. I woke up with what I thought was a stomach issue. Long story short, it was my appendix getting ready to burst early in the day. I wasn't sure what, if I'd eaten something or done something, whatever. But by the afternoon, I was in a lot of pain and I knew something was wrong. And I asked my now ex-husband to take me to urgent care, that I was in a lot of pain, et cetera, et cetera. And he said, no, I have plans. Fast forward to a handful of hours later, and I am being prepped for emergency surgery. I texted him this, and he called me a few hours later. His plans had been eating fish and chips with some friends and acted so concerned, which I have to say I accepted because I was afraid, because I had never had a major surgery. So I took that concern as needed comfort, even if I knew it wasn't real. That's what is truly sad to me. I was scared, so I accepted the vague interest of my abuser as a sign of love and concern in an emergency situation. The surgery went great. When my then husband picked me up, I was starving. I had had a sudden cutoff for food, etc., because of the surgery. And since I had had pain in my abdomen previously, I wasn't really eating the whole day before the surgery anyway. I really wanted a milkshake. I was just craving it. We pull into Burger King, and he tells me that since he had picked me up from the hospital, I should buy him lunch. I didn't agree emotionally, but I had had surgery 6 hours earlier and agreed to keep the peace even though I ranched at it, even in my post-op haze and pain. My now ex-husband pulled me out of bed and a dead sleep by my hair, screaming at me in full fury over some little thing that I had done to upset him, supposedly. He was able to get to me while I slept because he had removed the door handles, so I couldn't lock him out of the room I was sleeping in, and I tried. Hence, he removed the door handles. I endured his bullying for at least 10 minutes, all the usual screaming at the top of his lungs to make me feel small, threats, and pulling his full body weight against me to intimidate me. Like I already had someplace to go. I had found a place to live. The emergency surgery had just thrown a weird wrench in it all. I wasn't supposed to do anything physica, but I moved the next day and then ended up back in emergency because I wasn't supposed to be doing any lifting or moving post surgery at all. And all of my incisions were inflamed, but not necessarily infested. And then yeah. Post-surgery, I left my husband. Lol. Of course, I ended up back in emergency. I don't know what I mean by this post except to process what happened in the last days. I actually feel much better now. Um, and I see the whole emergency episode as proof that I can take care of myself whether other people are involved or not. My now ex-husband, when he picked me up after the surgery, made some possibly guilt-ridden comment that it's amazing you got yourself to the hospital, but in a real dirtbag way that showed he knew he was the bad person in this story. And his whole tone was that of, go you, because I have failed. But I also look at it as the vulnerability of people. I knew I wanted him out already, but a scary situation came along. And I think in abusive relationships, we sometimes forget the isolation factor um, of the abused and how that can color a person's reactions. I mean, we all just want love. That just gets distorted by people sometimes. I wish all of us real comfort and love. Story 4. Am I overreacting by telling my family I am upset at their comments about my body? I 17F, weigh 119, and my height is between 5'12" and 5'3". Recently, my family members have been calling me things like obese or fat. It isn't with all my family I see regularly. My family recently went on a vacation in which, yes, I gained some weight, going from 115 elf to 120 elf. The issue didn't start until recently. I was eating dinner as usual when my younger sister, 13, who I will call O for the story, remarked, measuring my weight recently. I replied, asking her why, because we are usually around the same weight. O is about 5'10" ish and weighs 115 pounds, which is my usual weight, but I am trying to lose weight to drop back down. However, I am currently 119 pounds. I weighed myself before eating. When we did weigh me, I came out to 121 pounds. She then made fun of me for the extra weight. At first, I was okay with it. She is just joking around. That's what I thought. Until it quickly turned into calling me obese, a fat rat, or you fat ass daily. So my younger brother, 12, who I will D, also joined O in making fun of me when they saw me eating stuff like candy or just basic food. Today, D remarked when he saw me eating food, it was the tiny Kinder bars you could get from the store, that I had 2 of them because I hadn't eaten all day, but he grabbed the box off the counter and told me, "You want a treat?" shaking the box at me and giggling. D has also hit me on several occasions. My mom spoils him, and he can easily get off with stuff. One time, he ran into a doorframe and told her I hit him, but that's a different story for a different day. He also really likes Hitler. No, this isn't a joke. I've tried to correct him on his behavior. He and his online friends he made from Xbox think it is funny and have a whole Discord group for it. So, the above listed information is meant to give whoever sees this an insight into the kind of person he is. My mom, as well as my 2 siblings, poked fun at me for my weight. I have expressed a few times I don't like it when they call me that. It upset me. The name calling has been going on for around a month now. If I mess up on something, O's reaction is to immediately yell at me that I am fat. My mom has also been comparing my weight to my sister's, saying, "Your sister is a healthy weight." Or by telling me I need to use a treadmill to lose weight. I listened to it over and over and over when I was eating today. The first meal of the day was dinner for me. I ate a small smash burger, and then went to drop plate off. When I put my plate in the sink, she randomly screamed, "You're obese," again. I yelled back at her, asking why they thought it was fun to make fun of my weight when I had told them it made me uncomfortable. My mom, standing and eating her food, was trying not to laugh or smile. It made me more upset. No one was taking me seriously. Oh, told me I was overreacting over a joke, and you always yell when you are on your period. Isn't my period. I am upset they keep calling me names. I don't call her names or make fun of them, but am I supposed to be okay with them calling me names like that? My question is, was I overreacting by yelling at them? I am still upset because as I am typing this, I am generally upset and hurt. I feel bad about myself and don't think of myself highly as is, which just made it worse. Story 5. My ex best friend gave me a Christmas letter apologizing. Normally, I wouldn't care to go to Reddit about this, but I feel like I'm going insane. So, my ex best friend and I are both 18. And before this year, we had been best friends for about 2 years. And by best friends, I mean best friends. We got compared to Andy and Ollie from Bob's Burgers all the time, if that puts it in perspective. So, anyways, this school year, everything started off normal, but then we started distancing to the point where by October, we just didn't talk at all. I got new friends and she stayed with our friend group, but I was still very upset. I cried about it for weeks on end before finally just getting over it. So, anywho, jumped to yesterday. Both of us were graduating early, and it was our last day at school. We both decided to write Christmas letters, and I mainly focused on teachers and my best friends. But when I got to class, and literally nothing could have prepared me at all for the absolute bullshit I saw. Tell me why. It was decorated all Christmassy, like Merry Christmas at the top, alternating between red and green for the letters, along with drawn snowflakes and everything. Then for the actual contents of the letter, it was her. And during the entire time I was reading this, I was thinking, this could have been an email. Because am I crazy? Who writes that in a Christmas letter? So, anyways, 15 minutes later, I'm literally holding back tears and refusing to speak because I know I'll start crying. When I mustered up the courage, I told one of our mutual friends, who happens to be one of my best friends, and he told me that she was just trying to be nice and I was overreacting. Am I overreacting about this? I just read this back and saw how boring it was. Sorry, Lo.